Hi everyone, my name's Carrie Wiley, and I decided to do my Better Me, Better World project on my own personal experience with ectopic pregnancy. I never thought that such a tragedy would happen to me or my husband or our family, but before we get into that, I'd like to tell you a little bit about my history when it does come to pregnancy. I spent 12 years of my life thinking that I could never get pregnant. But 6 months after my husband and I got married, I found myself with those two pink lines during a doctor's visit to see if my fallopian tubes were open. So to find out if your fallopian tubes are open, there's a certain test that you have to get done, which I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it's pretty much where they put iodine inside of you to see if it flows through your fallopian tubes and comes out into your abdomen. During this time, before you go through all that process, they make you do a pregnancy test just to determine whether you're pregnant or you're not pregnant. So if you're pregnant, they can't do the fallopian tube test. If you're not pregnant, you're good to proceed. So I never knew I was pregnant. So when I went in there to go get to have my test done, I did this pregnancy test, and come to find out I was pregnant. I got the two pink lines. I ran out of there so excited to share the news with my husband, who was also in disbelief. And after a while, it kind of sunk in, and he started jumping for joy and dancing his heart out. And I have it recorded. It's super cute. But tragedy was soon to hit our beloved family. I was 4 weeks along when we got into a car accident and hit a deer, and we're not 100% sure if this is the cause, but it did lead to a miscarriage. And after many doctor visits, we were told it was safe to try again. Oh boy, what fun, right? Well, that's just the beginning. What is an ectopic pregnancy, you ask? It is a pregnancy in which the fetus develops outside the uterus, typically in the fallopian tubes, which can be deadly to both the mother and the fetus. Ectopic pregnancy is the leading cause of maternal morbidity, with pregnancy-related mortality of 31.9 deaths per 100,000 pregnancies. 1 in every 100 women runs the risk of an ectopic pregnancy. Most people do not know what an ectopic pregnancy is and or never even heard of it. So here we are at round 2 with hopes of the worst parts past us. But this is only the beginning, as we were never informed to wait 6 months to a year before trying again, and the doctor told us that we could start again after 2 full menstrual cycles have passed. So we waited and we tried it again. And this time it definitely started out a lot better this time than it did before. And this time, during this pregnancy, I was actually able to tell that I was pregnant. I didn't get morning sickness, but I did get nauseous in the evenings after work. And so we hadn't taken a test yet to find out. So we waited a few days, and then we decided that we would take a test. And again, it came back positive. Too afraid to jump for joy, we waited until our first doctor visit. But I never made it to my first doctor visit. I was 7.5 weeks pregnant at this time, and the day I was scheduled for my first ultrasound, I was on my way to take my adopted children to school. But they never made it to school either. As I'm getting closer to my adopted son's school, I feel cramps. Minor cramps, so I don't really think nothing of it. But then the worst of it begins. As I pull into the side of the road in front of my adopted son's school, I'm sweating and I have cramps that feel like knives are being stabbed in me, and I just can't get comfortable. I feel nauseous, so at this time I open my door to let some cool air in, and as I'm sweating persuasively, I'm terrified as I'm trying to get the pain to stop. I'm alone in the car with both my adopted children and scared for my life and my unborn child. I felt every bit of my fallopian tube rupturing, and I would not wish that on any person. I am frantically trying to call my husband, who is still asleep, without any luck. So I decided to call my former best friend to come help me. Once we get back home, try to explain the situation to my husband, but it kind of got all mixed up and everything. So I ended up getting my friend to take me to the hospital. So once I arrive at the hospital, they check my vitals and my blood pressure, which reads 93/41, which is dangerously low. I was not aware of this as I was still up walking around and fully aware of my surroundings, and doctors in shock and disbelief could not figure out how I'm still alive at this point. If I had waited for the pain to go away instead of going to the doctor, I would have probably died from internal bleeding. They found 400 cc's of blood in my abdomen, and these pictures here, right here, oh, hold on, let me see if I can get my pointer to work. These pictures here are the inside of what my fallopian tubes looked like while the fetus was still in there, and this here was after my surgery. So most people around 8 weeks get the time to be able to hear the baby's heartbeat and at least see some part of their child on an ultrasound. So I never got any of that with any of my pregnancies, and I've had 1 ectopic and 2 miscarriages. And I've never been able to know if they were a boy or a girl. I've never been able to give them names. Don't know what their heartbeat sounds like. And it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with, and it's a lot to put on one person. A year later, my husband and I try again to only have another miscarriage, which that makes our 3rd miscarriage. And still without answers today of what is going on. Family and friends have been supportive, and even my brother took the time out of his busy schedule to find a specialist for me, which I've contacted, but I'm still waiting to hear back some information and to go further with that. I still have hope that my husband and I will have a child, even if it is only 1, and I would be so grateful. I was never given any information regarding an ectopic pregnancy, so I've decided to use my own experiences to share with you guys and to be able to just get more knowledge out there about ectopic pregnancy, because it's so uncommon, and I was told that I was in the 1% of women that ever had an ectopic, and an ectopic like mine. My case was actually really rare because I should have had my miscarriage and then been able to go on to have a full-term pregnancy and be healthy. But because the baby got stuck in the fallopian tube, it caused my fallopian tube to rupture at 7.5 weeks. So I just don't want other women to have to go through the same thing or to be blindsided like I was, because it's definitely a tragedy, and it's a lot to handle for one person. So after many months of depression, anxiety, and PTSD, which mainly formed because of all of this life-changing events that happened, and the death of not only 1 child, but 2, and then the what-ifs and the whys, and the I'll never get to know them, I'll never get to see them, I'll never get to watch them grow up, and a lot of things formed from that. So I decided to dive into my research, and I didn't find much. But I did find some information on the risk of an ectopic using IVF, which is also known as in vitro fertilization, which is one of the several techniques available to help people with fertility problems have a baby. Come to find out, it is more common to have an ectopic pregnancy this way than naturally conceiving, which we will later find out in the next slides. So during my research, these were a few questions that arose. The first one is, IVF ET procedures really the best? Does frozen or fresh donors make a difference? Will the results if frozen or fresh donors or non-donors are used? Will the results change if frozen or fresh donors or non-donors are used? And number 4, which results in a lesser chance of an ectopic pregnancy, fresh or frozen donor or non-donor? In the beginning, the rate of ectopic pregnancy declined from 2% donor and non-donor, which was in 2001, and the ectopic pregnancy rate ranged from 2% for fresh non-donor cycle to 1% for fresh donor cycles. And then among fresh non-donor cycles, the ectopic pregnancy rate actually went up to, or no, it went down. It went down to 1.6 when one embryo was transferred compared to 1.7 for 2, 2.2% for 3, and 2.5% for 4 or more. The differences between 2001 and 2011, for all transfer types combined, the ectopic pregnancy rate among women undergoing assisted reproductive technology reproduces declined from 2.0% in 2001 to 1.6% in 2011. And a lot of this has to do with that there's a lot more technology now to be able to determine when you're pregnant, how far along you are, and there's other equipment out there that's just evolved more rapidly throughout the years, and that can do more, that's able to show things that they couldn't see in 2001. So this is just a chart to just kind of break things down. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to tell you what the percentages is between the total number of pregnancies and the total number of ectopic pregnancies within that total number of pregnancies. So for the first one, all IVF ET procedures, there is a 1.71% chance of having an ectopic pregnancy. For fresh non-donor, there is a 2.5% chance of an ectopic pregnancy. For fresh donor, there is a 0.98% chance. And then for frozen thawed non-donor, there's a 1.30% chance. And then for frozen thawed donor, there is a 1.15% chance. Overall, the average is 1.53% chance of an ectopic pregnancy using IVF. So either way, whether you do it naturally or you do it through IVF, you're still going to get that 1% chance, but there's more likely of a chance of an ectopic pregnancy if you're using IVF than what there would be if you were doing it naturally. So this is just a breakdown in chart form instead of in a grid form is all this is. I'm sorry about the line. I didn't mean to do that. So here's another breakdown, the rate of ectopic pregnancies and percentages. I'm sorry, my camera's kind of covering up the words. But this just kind of breaks it down per year and between fresh, all transfer types, and frozen. And you can actually tell from this chart that it was really high in 2001. And it started to gradually lower between 2003 and 2008. There was a tragic point where everything lowered, and then now today it's gotten even lower, but it's higher than what it is for fresh than it is for frozen. And this just shows you that your frozen, which is on the bottom, is less of a chance to have an ectopic pregnancy. I don't know what the reason of that is. I'm thinking that maybe because it's frozen, that everything's been slowed down, so there's less of a chance of it getting stuck somewhere. But I don't have the 100% answer on that, so I'm not 100% sure. And as you can tell, fresh has the greatest risk, and all transfer types between the two combined is in the middle. So in 2001, between fresh, all transfer types, and frozen, fresh had the highest percent factor, a decrease of 0.08%, and all transfer types decreased of 0.5% in frozen. In 2006, between fresh, all transfer types, and frozen, fresh had the highest percent factor, a decrease of 0.14% in all transfer types, and a decrease of 0.58% in frozen. And in 2011, between fresh, all transfer types, and frozen, fresh had the highest percent factor and a decrease of 0.24% in all transfer types and a decrease of 0.86% in frozen. I only hope and pray that one day I get the opportunity to create life and to get to witness what love can create, as I never got the chance to actually witness my child inside my belly with an ultrasound. I never got to go this far. I just wanted to add this picture in here just because I thought that it would be a great way to just combine everything and just add a little bit of happiness to this very tragic experience. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys took so much from this and that you learned a lot from this presentation and that it really benefits everybody out there and puts a little bit more knowledge and information out there for everybody to be able to have a better understanding of an ectopic pregnancy. And this is just my source from where I've received all of my information. You're more than welcome to go to this, and there's also a web link as well, which I don't have in here, but I can add it to my submission. Thank you guys again, and have a wonderful evening.